Buying a home in Sarasota sounds like a dream. Sunshine, palm trees, coffee on the lanai. But what most people don't realize is the hardest part isn't just finding the house. It's everything that comes after it. The negotiations that drag on, the inspection report that suddenly changes the deal, the appraisal that doesn't match the price, and the insurance quote that you weren't quite expecting, and the lender asking for one more document, one more document when you thought you were done. I watch buyers relocating to the Suncoast run into these surprises every single week. So today, I'm walking you through the worst parts of buying a home in Sarasota, what can go wrong, why the process feels so frustrating, and what smart buyers do differently before it costs them time, money, and a whole lot of sleep. If you're thinking about moving here, this is one you'll want to stick around for. People love to romanticize buying a home in Florida. They picture breezy afternoons, bike rides to the beach, sunsets over the water, and an easygoing lifestyle that feels worlds and worlds away from where they're coming from. And in Sarasota, that lifestyle really does exist, but the process of actually getting into that house is far more complicated than most people expect. I work with relocation buyers, retirees, families, snowbirds, second home purchasers, all kinds of people. And almost all of them say the same thing halfway through the transaction. We had no idea it'd be this intense. One of the first realities that hits buyers here is pricing. Sarasota and the surrounding Suncoast have stayed extremely popular for many years, fueled by people moving from higher cost states, retirees cashing out elsewhere, and buyers looking for more lifestyle, more than just square footage. And that demand keeps prices elevated compared to what longtime locals remember. Now, buyers often tell me, over 5 years ago, this would have been so much cheaper. And while markets are always changing, what people really are surprised by is the monthly payment. Once insurance, property taxes, and HOA fees, and sometimes flood insurance, are added in. That's where the first major danger zone appears: overbuying. Now, most buyers start disciplined. They come in with a nice number that they feel comfortable with, and they promise themselves that they won't stretch it. Then they walk into a home, say, west of the trail, or a maintenance-free community with a beautiful pool, or something that's close to the water, and they really get excited. And suddenly the math starts negotiating with emotion. They say things like, "We could make this work," or "This is why we moved to Florida." I've watched people emotionally commit to a house in under 5 minutes. And once that happens, the decision stops being financial and becomes personal. In Sarasota, especially where insurance and HOA costs can shift affordability really quickly, staying disciplined is one of the hardest but most important parts of the process. When people give me a budget range, that's what I stick to. Then I hear them say, "How come we didn't get this house?" Or "How come we didn't see this house?" Or "We were in the neighborhood and you didn't show us this house." The answer is almost always, it wasn't in your budget, or it wasn't in your buying parameters. Then comes the bidding wars. Now, most people might say, well, that's a thing of the past. That was a few years ago. But a well-priced home in areas like Lakewood Ranch, Palmer Ranch, Venice, downtown Sarasota can still sometimes get multiple offers. And I've had buyers write strong, full-price contracts only to lose out to someone who is paying cash, waiving contingencies, or more flexible with their timelines, and their offer was more attractive. So frustration builds, and renters start looking at leases and renewals, and snowbirds are watching the season approach or leave. And relocation buyers are living out of temporary housing. So that makes pressure, and when people get pressure, they swing harder. And that's where the mistakes start to happen. Now layer in one of the most exhausting parts of the process: negotiations. Now, this isn't just about price. Sarasota transactions can involve credits for repairs, closing costs, credits for a roof age, especially roofs because insurance comes into play. Then there's HVAC systems, insurance requirements, wind mitigation reports, flood zones, survey issues, seller possession, furniture, pool equipment, seawalls, docks, permits, and HOA documents. Everything comes into play, and especially the timing. Yes, timing. So sometimes the seller wants to stay. Sometimes you want to be in ASAP. Timing your sale with your purchase is always a logistics nightmare. Every one of these can become a big sticking point. Buyers ask for something, sellers push back, counteroffers fly, then emotions start to rise. And then people take a small request and make it personal. And attorneys sometimes get involved. This is the phase where deals either come together or quietly unravel. And the goal isn't winning, it's protecting your future self. Now, alongside negotiations comes disclosures. And this is where buyers really need to slow down. So, Florida sellers are required by law to disclose known material defects. And those include prior water intrusion, roof leaks, termite damage, insurance claims, flooding history, sinkhole activity, structural repairs, seawall issues. But buyers sometimes skim these because they're eager to just move forward. But I've seen disclosures change the entire tone of a deal. So sellers often tell me, we don't need to mention that leak, it's been fixed. Well, maybe it has, but what other potential damage was done? Was that remedied? It can create quite a slippery slope. So not every item is a deal breaker, but every single one deserves to be investigated, especially for waterfront or coastal properties. And after inspections, appraisals step into the spotlight. So when those numbers come in low, everything just freezes. So many buyers, they just don't realize that lenders don't care what you offered. They only care what the home appraises for. So buyers start to debate whether they should bring extra cash. Sellers start to debate, should they consider price reductions to make it happen? Agents gather, they compare sales, and everyone waits while stress just climbs. Nothing kills momentum faster than an appraisal problem. And one of the worst things is that appraisals usually come in weeks after the inspections. I've seen buyers order furniture, tell family members that they found the one, they mentally move in and then discover that the numbers are a little off. And that's another negotiation. Meanwhile, underwriting continues in the background from all of this. And this is where buyers really start to feel worn down. Lenders ask for updated bank statements, more pay stubs, gift letters, explanations for deposits, insurance binders, HOA budgets, condo documents, flood policies, wind mitigation reports, roof certifications, and employment verifications. And if you're self-employed, the requests just multiply. This phase feels endless because nothing is final yet. You're under contract but not safe, and that uncertainty can keep you up at night. Finally, the last sprint arrives, closing. Utilities need to be scheduled, movers booked, funds have to be wired, settlement statements need to be reviewed, final walkthroughs completed, title work cleared, surveys finalized, and lender approvals are issued. One little missing item can delay everything, which leads to movers being rescheduled or storage units rented, hotel stays added, and buyers living in half-packed homes longer than they had expected. By the time most people reach the finish line, most are already exhausted. They've toured dozens of houses, lost a few, renegotiated, uploaded mountains of paperwork, worried through the inspections, waited on appraisals, chased lenders, and questioned every decision along the way. The buyers who handle Sarasota real estate best aren't the most emotional, they're the most prepared. They understand the real monthly cost, insurance realities, HOA and CDD fees, flood zones, roof rules, negotiation strategies, and they let the pros do their jobs. Now, I don't want to paint this all as doom and gloom. Some transactions can be quite simple, and buying in Sarasota is incredible, but the process is rarely smooth. I tell people if we have less than 3 hiccups, we've had a nice transaction. And the people who come out happiest expect friction. They budget conservatively. They avoid chasing. They leave room for surprises. And they surround themselves with professionals whose job is to protect them, not just to get the deal closed and tell you what you want to hear. I believe someone once compared it to childbirth. Something I wouldn't know about, but my wonderful wife would. They say it can be long, extremely uncomfortable. Sometimes you want to throw up and you can't wait till it's over. But once it's done, you forget everything and absolutely love the results. If you're thinking about buying here on the Sun Coast, go in excited, but also go in educated. Understand the headaches before they show up and know your limits before your emotions test them. And make sure you've got someone guiding you and holding your hand who does this every single day. Because when you finally stand in an empty living room, holding those keys, you want that feeling to be pride, joy, and accomplishment, not just relief. So no matter what the situation is, we've dealt with it. Now check out this other video that we did on what type of Sarasota homes not to buy. For living and buying in Sarasota, I'm Rovnak. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.